All right, ladies and gents, Mr. H is back. We are working some more through this fundamental theorem of algebra thing that we started yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, you're really going to want to watch the video from yesterday so you can start to see what's going on with some of this, even though I'm going to be in depth with what we do to try and work our way through it and make this a little bit better. Luckily for us, this is only a one-sided worksheet. So Mr. H is going to be doing the evens, so the odds will be your actual practice here because I'm giving you half the answers. If you already feel comfortable with what you were doing yesterday, go ahead, pause me, start working through it, check the answers at the front or online, and then if you get stuck, you can always jump back in. So find all the zeros. All that means is anything that has x gets set equal to 0. And then solve what's there. If it's already 0, cool. If it's not already 0, just go ahead, solve the mini equations. Keep it simple, okay? That's it. Find the zeros. Now, as we get down here a little further, I'm going to start referencing what we were doing yesterday. So find all the zeros, use the graphing calc to help. Remember, your degree tells you how many answers there's going to be. Okay, there's going to be 3 answers here. And we're always going to start with the calculator as our first line of helping us out. So we're going to type this in. Okay, let's take a peek here. Now remember, what we're looking for is where does it cross the x-axis? Where are the x-intercepts? So if there's 3 of them, I can see that there's 3. All I'm hoping is that they're all whole numbers. Okay? So we're going to use the chart on our graphing calculator. And we're looking for y equals 0 values because those are the x-intercepts. So I start looking and I'm like, ooh, there's a y equals 0. So -5. Oh, wait a minute. I see another one. -2. And well, wow, that's awesome. 1, 2, 3 answers. Okay, I got everything from the chart. Like I said yesterday, that's not going to happen a ton. But it does happen enough that, again, we always want to go with the calculator first. So I go a little further. Now this time, something a little weird happens. You're like, okay, here's it. What's this random -3 here on the end? They are giving you one answer. You're like, well, isn't that nice one? If you didn't notice that and you went ahead and you typed this into your calculator, what you're going to find is, well, that's the answer they're giving us. But I'll show you so you are more apt to believe me here. Nice thing about the video too is you can like pause me, mute me, whatever you need to do here. So here's my graph. Maybe. There it goes. And I notice I'm like, okay, so -1, -2, -3. I can kind of see that one. Now I might, let's take a peek. Okay, so there's the -3. Do I have any other ones? Oh. I went to the graph, I got x equals 5. Okay, so now I have 2. But I need 4. So this time I'm not getting everything from the calculator. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to take one of those x values that I found already. I'll just use the one they gave me here at the start. And we're going to do synthetic division. Leave the value alone. Don't switch it like we did before when it was x minus 3 or x plus 2 we were dividing by. That's the actual number we're using. Make sure there's no gaps. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, good there. Every single one has a coefficient that we need to jot down. So we bring that first term down, multiply it by what's in the box, and add down. Multiply it by what's in the box, and add down. Multiply that by what's in the box, add down. And multiply by what's in the box. Add. Down. Why did I do that one in pink? Did I just forget to change colors? No. When you're doing these, if the number you're dividing by is truly an intercept, truly a 0, you will always get 0 for this last number. If you don't, you either miswrote down what the 0 was or something went wrong with your math somewhere. Okay? This is always 0. With that in mind. We started with a 4th degree polynomial. So when we get to here, we're going to plug in starting 1 less than that. Okay, started with x to the 4th, now we're at x to the 3rd, x squared, x, my constant term. Here's what I guess I'm going to call the bad news. Until that says x squared, we need to keep dividing. So now, I have another x value. So I'm going to plug that in. And now I'm dividing this into my new polynomial. Don't go back to the beginning. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, thankfully I don't have any gaps again. I know room is a bit of an issue on these. I apologize. If we need to, we can kind of take advantage so we didn't need much room up above there. So I get my 1. Multiply by what's in the box. And add. Multiply by what's in the box. And add. You know it. Multiply by what's in the box. Add down. There's my 0. Yeah, buddy. So now, start with x to the 3rd. X squared, 0. X minus 3. At this point, we talked before about you have options. Okay? You could look at this and you're like, okay, so what have I got here? I got x squared minus 3 equals 0. I could, if I wanted to, do the Pythagorean theorem. I got like geometry on the brain. I don't know why. I could use the quadratic formula, which again we put in our note sheet yesterday. I will rewrite it here in case you decide to go that route. The quadratic formula works every single time. So if you want to go that way, you can. There'd be my A, my B, and my C. I could plug that in. I get my last 2 answers. I'm good. Or what you could do if you notice this is, we could just do a little bit of algebra here. How do I undo squaring something? I square root it. And if I punch square root of 3 in my calculator, I don't get, a nice number out. So that's going to stay square root of 3, but the squared means it's plus and minus. Positive square root of 3, negative square root of 3, negative 3, 5. 4 answers. You're like, whoa. Again, that's why I go through these, though, to get you to have them written down so you have an idea of how you want to tackle it. Algebra here worked. Quadratic formula would have worked as well. Speaking of the quadratic formula, I think I'm going to do that on this last one, just to prove a point. So I get to this one, I'm like, all right, hopefully this is just going to be 3 answers, and then we're just done, and we can be done with dealing with Hardy today. We'll see. All right, let's see what we got. I'm not feeling great about this, getting all 3 answers. Let's look at our chart. All right, so there's... we got 0. Anything else? Nope, nothing else. Well, isn't that just a hoot? We need 3 answers. Okay. 0. This is going to be weird. 3, 2, 1. Uh-oh. No constant term. Got to always finish with the plain old number. If there's not a plain old number on the end, we got to put plus 0. So coefficients. And you know it. Here we go. Hey, here's the cool thing, though. What do you get when you multiply by 0? 0 every single time. So that's going to make this go pretty quick. Don't freak out thinking because you got 0 and all these numbers are the same that you did something wrong. You didn't. You're like, okay, this is weird, though. Oh, it is. I started with x to the third, x squared. So you're like, oh, well, okay. Well, now it's at x squared. So x squared plus 4x minus 10 equals 0. I'm assuming, at least I would try to factor this first. But here's the deal. I'm going to give you a hint. It doesn't factor this time. You're like, we're going to have to use the quadratic formula, aren't we? Yep. Sometimes we're not going to get around it. So let me get where I've got the formula in our screen here. So A, B, C, and here we go. So the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus, I'm trying to stay out of the picture there, 4AC all over 2A. And as we have done in the past, we're only doing the stuff underneath. I'm not even bothering putting it under the radical. I'm not interested in all the tricks. So I look and I'm like, all right, so 56. Yep. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 56 over 2. Now, even if you got there and stopped, I applaud that. You're okay. The only thing is, your answer is going to be different from my key. You're like, well, why is it going to be different? Oh, man, because we can break the radical down. So if I look for a perfect square that goes in, 4 does. So if you want the super duper perfect best answer ever, we can go a little further. But, and now some of you just slammed your Chromebook shut and are never going to hear the end of it. I understand. You're like, really? You're going to tell me there's something else? Actually, there is. If you look at the 3 parts that aren't under the radical, they all divisible by the same thing? 2. That's the best answer. Okay, so it's like good, better, best. I'm really happy, though, if you get any of those. I'm serious. I'm not even joking. So play with those other 4. Seriously do them. Seriously check answers. Because my plan is, when I get back tomorrow, we're going to chat for a little bit about this, but then we're rocking to the next section here. We are closing up here on Unit 4 very quickly and looking towards a unit test towards the end of next week. I'll see you tomorrow.